Test. Hey, does anybody else need a handout before we get started here in a moment? Did everybody get a copy? All right.
We good? We good, aren't we? Can you hear me from this? Yes. Okay. Thank y'all for coming. We're going to talk about something very special today. First of all, I want to tell you a little bit about the organization of the Global Church here. We function by committee. The building committee, which I chair, and I know some of you aren't used to seeing me up here, so my name is Ben Gore in that context. But that being said, we presented this plan to the building committee. They recommended it, unanimously approved it. We then go to the church council, which Jay heads up, and they unanimously approved it. So we're here today to tell you that the renovation is on go. That being said, Drew Hamilton and I, last week on the 14th, we signed the contract for this renovation, and Lee Gardner wrote the check for the down payment, and as we proceeded, we're ready to go. Our last Sunday here in this sanctuary, as we know it, before the renovation, will be on the 26th of April. We will start the renovation on the week of May the 4th. That gives the trustees an entire week to get everything ready. And we've got some things to do, like move furniture and this, that, and the other, and move the piano. There's a lot of things that have got to be done. So for the renovation to begin, we've got a pretty good PowerPoint here. It's got some slides, and this could be pretty brief. But I'll inject a little bit during gaps as we go through it. But I want to mention a few people. Hal Fuller's group out of Florence did all the architectural work for us, and he actually did the renditions that you see up here. Drew helped us with that as well. And as we go forward, we had a little mission creep. We wanted to expand the narthex, so we approved to do that. But in order to eliminate columns to support the wall that we're taking out, that's a load-bearing wall, by the way, we had to get involved with Al Stevenson of Columbia. He's a structural architect. So he came in and we went under the church and photographed and did a, but anyway, we will put in steel beams overhead, and there'll be no column support. So the new renovation will be completely open. It's almost 500 square feet. So it's a really nice addition to the gathering area. In addition to that, the Church Interiors had furnished us a specialist in renovations design, and their initial input was to go wall to wall with tile, eliminate all the carpet. There was a little bit of conjecture and concern, more than conjecture, about the vaulted ceiling and potential echoes. So I brought in a guy named Richard Honeycutt, who's an acousticist. He's from North Carolina, and we had to pay him. But he came in and did all the reverberation studies, and his recommendation was to put carpet in the aisles and the tile under the pews in the narthex and in the hallways. So that's where we're going with that. That's what we will actually do. But again, his name was Richard Honeycutt. It's very professionally done. And I mentioned this stuff to amplify the detail that we went to make sure we get it right. I talked to Rick Fowler, who is the inspector, and he assured me that the wheelchair accessibility that we're putting in the sanctuary, the renovated sanctuary, is ADA compliant, and that's important. We want to do that and make sure that's right. Another thing I'd like to mention is the furnishings committee. Without them, we would not be here. A lady named Stacy Reeves, who's an employee of Church Interiors, who's doing the renovation, was made available to us, and she brought in samples of the tiles and the carpet and the fabrics and everything, and helped our decorating committee. But I can tell you, were it not for Linda Drayton, Jennifer Evans, and Debbie Dawkins, we wouldn't be where we are. So anyway, all of this stuff you see is the byproduct of them. And I'm going to move along with the slide number 2. This is the sanctuary. Kind of like, why are we doing it? The pews are old. They're past their prime. We need new pews. That's a fact. The carpet's worn. We just need a lot of stuff. We could do the repair. We could put a chase down the ceiling and cover that crack at the top. It's going to be a complete renovation. It's going to really look nice. The slide 3, and it's kind of how did we get to the project? And this goes back, we actually started this before COVID. Vern Myers was chair of the building committee then. I kind of assumed that role because Vern and I worked on it as trustees together and as the building committee a long time ago. So Vern asked me to kind of, when he moved to the beach, he asked me to kind of assume it, so I did. But what a great guy he did, and what an incremental, very important position he played in all of this from day one. One of the things I want to point out too is we talk about committee structure and we kind of operate by committee. Drew Hamilton is the chair of the building, of the trustees. And what was so important about Drew was also on the building committee. So Drew's insight and value and knowledge of the church was terribly important as he watched the decisions that the building committee were making. So that's kind of that's a plus the way these committees work together and structure at the church. Next slide over. And it's basically, this is pretty perfunctory stuff, but it says, why are we, presenting today? We want everybody to understand what we're doing. We want everybody to be comfortable with what they understand about what we're doing and to be pleased with it, more importantly. We want everybody to be pleased with what we're doing. It's going to be an incredible renovation. The plan is complete, and it's almost ready to commence. And at risk of being repetitive, we're going to start the week of May the 4th. That will be the beginning of all this, and they'll take out the pews and tear up the carpet and all that stuff. One thing I'll share with you, we chose option 3 with church interiors, and that eliminates anything for us to have to do. We don't have to bring in dumpsters. We don't have to remove the pews or the carpet. They do all of that. It's turnkey. And I say that, Drew's looking at me sideways because we do have to move some stuff. We got to move the piano. We got to move some furniture around in preparation for the renovation. But other than that, it's pretty turnkey. They do it all for us. Areas to cover today, the general renovation. What we're doing as we talk about the renovation is the pews, the flooring, the lighting, northeast expansion, and that's a big part of it, that northeast expansion, and the schedule and the cost. We're going to review all of that in just in a moment or two. The general construction is basically we're repairing the walls, repair the wood as needed as a restain. And you see the little stain and chip out there, that's what all the stains going to look like. We're going to repair the ceiling and paint it, a new media booth in the back corner back there, and we're going to remove the wallpaper in the halls and paint all the halls. The pews will be the next thing. We're putting in all new pews. These are essentially solid oak pews. The base, the bottom is a 3/4 inch laminate, but everything else is solid oak. And all the supports for the bottom are solid oak. So these are really, really durable pews, and they're warranted for 25 years. And that's pretty good. Seating capacity. This is interesting that we have to give Scott Jackson a shout out for his help in keeping up with all the attendance records and everything for Sunday. So when we were talking about, Jay Lapicola and I were talking one day, and there was a concern about the industry standard for seating capacity is 18 inches. That's not a lot if you think about it. That's all I'm going to say about that. But in looking at the pew congregation situation we had, we got limited space. We're gonna have 297 seats, and we've got like 304. So we're not losing appreciably any seats, but that's because we're doing some wheelchair additions, access areas in the front of the church, and I'll show that in just a moment. But basically what we did, we started tracking pew attendance, not church attendance, but pew attendance in October of 25. And I built a chart and tracked everything, and we averaged for that, it's like a 26-week period, we averaged 142 people sitting in the pews every Sunday. And keep in mind, we're putting in 297, so we got plenty of pew spaces. That's what we were trying to validate, that the pew capacity would not be compromised. to the point it would create a problem for us. But anyway, we averaged on those 25, 26 weeks, 191 people at church on Sundays. That included the children, everybody. There were about 191 here, and 142 were in the pews. And we're going to be ADA compliant, and that is huge. The next slide over is kind of a visual. If you'll see those two dark red spots, those are the wheelchair accessible areas. They're going to be right here in the front. We contemplated where to put them, but the reality is if we had them in the back, when the congregation stands, the people in the wheelchairs couldn't see. So we decided to put them up in the front, and that also opens up the front a little bit for weddings or whatever. It's the best way to go with that. Any questions so far on that? Good. The next slide is this is kind of an interesting slide because this is not actually what we're doing. This illustrates the flooring, the tile flooring going from the front of the pews all the way to the chancel, right? So you can see, if you look at the bottom right of that screen, you can see that little bit of green. That's the carpet in the center aisle. This picture was actually taken in Shandon. I took this picture in Shandon over in Columbia just to illustrate you can't have but so many compositions coming together at one point. So this wooden floor will be taken up and it'll be replaced with tile. Okay. The lighting is the next slide over. We're putting all new LED lighting in. And in addition to the lighting, all the dimmer switches and all will be relocated so they're accessible from the sound booth or the back wall or the front church. So that's going to really be a big improvement for the lighting in the church. Northeast expansion. This is kind of a unique thing. This is what I call mission creep because we changed it a couple of times. Originally, we would put the columns in, and we found out that the columns, because of it being a load-bearing wall, would take up a lot of space and compromise some of that area that we wanted to gain. So we figured, well, if we take it out, what are we doing? That's how Al Stevens from Columbia, the structural engineer, got involved. He came over, and he and I went under the church and took pictures and confirmed and validated that we're on a cement slab underneath the church, and we can put steel beams overhead without the columns. And that's what came out of that meeting. But when I say mission creep, that's a little bit, we changed it. That added some cost. That added about almost 30 grand cost to do the steel beams opposed to little columns and supports. But it opens the area up nicely. We're gaining almost 500 square feet by what we're doing on the north axis. And you see these pictures here. And again, Hal Fuller's architectural group did those for us. And I think there's 2 or 3 of those. The project schedule, and this is important, and again, at risk of being a little bit repetitive, our last Sunday in this sanctuary, as we know, as we sit today, will be April 26th. The first Sunday in the fellowship hall will obviously be May the 3rd. We're tentatively plan to start the demolition and construction on May the 4th, that week. And there's a week gap between there and the Drew getting everything ready for the demolition, et cetera. And the last page is, we're looking at probably maybe 5.5 to 6 months. We can move that up a little bit. I was talking with Church Interiors Friday night, and they understand the urgency of getting in here and getting this done. So we're not going to try to protract it into this long. We're going to try to get it done a lot quicker than we decided how to do it. Let me say it like that. The last sheet it talks about the cost of this project, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks at, this is going to be the balance after everything's done, that 408, that bottom number, after we've already made a couple of down payments with the pews. We saved about $14,000, and Lee helped us do that by paying a little bit early on the pews, make a down payment on the pews, and we actually treated it as a separate contract, although these numbers are an aggregate total. That being said, Lee Gardner is here today to speak to you about the finances and answer any questions, and then Bonnie is here to talk about the fundraising if you have any questions about that. And if anybody's got any questions, please raise your hand. We'll recognize you and try to answer those questions. Thank you.
I have a question.
As far as I know, they were, yes.
Well, there are some plaques on the end of these pews.
Mm-hmm.
From the original people. Are we going to save those plaques?
We can save those and transfer them if someone would like to own the new pews, yes. Yeah, she didn't say put them on the pews, Drew. She just said save them. Thank you. Any other questions at all about Lee or? Yeah, Jean.
You're saying that pews will seat 297, if I'm hearing you correctly, that's if you're 18 inches wide.
Say that again, Junior. I didn't totally understand that.
You said you're seating 297 if you're accounting for 18 inches wide, is that correct?
That's correct. But understand this, that is the industry standard, not, that's not the St. Louis standard. Yes, Bonnie.
Can you address that the pews are being shortened on the end? They're being made a little shorter for more room on the...
Actually, the two in the back are. The two in the back are shorter. Yeah.
Will the new pews step a little further from the side wall?
Yes. About an inch and a half, I think, a couple inches. Yeah. Go back to slide number, I was trying to show you. Go back to slide 9, Joel, please. If you'll see at the very left bottom of that photograph, you'll see two abbreviated pews in the back there, two short pews. And all that did was give us another 9 seats, I think. Yes. That's a great question, and that's what prompted to bring in the acousticists. He did reverberation studies, and his concern was the vaulted ceiling and where the sound was coming out. But anyway, putting the carpet in the aisles and behind the pews at the back mitigate any of that possibility. And that's a professional telling us that, that's not me, that's what he said.
Back off of what Leah said with
Yep.
the microphones. Are they going to be moved, or are they going to be added more to? The sound that comes out of that wire wall is not equal, and it is not even, especially if you watch it on our YouTube video. And if you're going to spend all this time doing all this and hire this acoustics man, the microphone the issue with the microphones of those two situated over this side needs to be addressed.
You're talking about the monitors getting better sound accurate for you all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also the feed. I hope that something is going to be done about that as well. I spent a lot of time.
Wait.
Joel will figure that out.
My plan is to resound and resume it when what everything's done.
Yes.
So we've known this has been going on for a while. Since having a professional come in, redo this room, and then re-architect. So immediately fall, we'll come back in, we'll start with that, sound equipment. Whatever we can do with that.
That's a great question, but the sound part is not part of the renovation. That's separate. But great question, thank you. Jeannie?
On your project schedule, you say it's going to take 6 months, but then you've been going back in church in September, that
We're going to move it along a little quicker than that. That's a pretty liberal. Any other questions, please? If you got a questions, please ask. Lee? Well, when you say that many more people, what are you speaking to? I'm just trying to understand your question. It's a great question. I'm not sure I understand it.
No,
Right now, you can see 304, correct? And it's going to move to 297. That's my understanding.
And right now, we comfortably sit 9 people per pew on a not
Jeez. Well, let me speak to that because that's a good analogy. But the 142 per Sunday is for a 26-week period. That's an average, and that average moves up and down as we know. And the 191 is also an average. There were many Sundays we had well over 200 people at church. Right.
Easter was 289.
Sorry.
Easter was a large count, was 289 people.
I know Christmas Eve was a very large too. There were 2 dates that just ballooned. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and this may be after that, but just any consideration to doing anything to screens, getting them up. I know, a lot of nice tall people, but I think it's tall people, sometimes you can't see the whole screen. I feel like that, but if, I don't know, they could be raised.
You mean elevating the videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be done. That could be another part of a project. That would not be part of the renovation, but we certainly could look at that, absolutely. But that would need to be introduced to the building committee, I can't make that decision.
Just sit here right now and look, if you raise those TV screens, the lights are going to be in the middle of it. We are restricted by the design of the facility. Well, you got a mantle on the wall here in the entire, don't have anything but the
Sharon, we'll take that up with the building committee. That's a great idea, thank you, we'll take that up. Yeah, yeah. We'll take that up with the building committee, that's a good suggestion. Any other questions? That is correct. That is correct, yes. Yeah. Drew?
So these are the paint colors that are going to be on different walls. Bonnie, can you grab the microphone, please? These are the paint colors that are going to be used. And right now, I can't tell you off the top of my head which one goes where, but they will repaint the sanctuary. They're going to repaint the narthex, down the hallways, and into the up to the children's hallway. And in addition to that, they're taking all the carpet up, and the tiles are here that they're using, and this is an accent tile that will only be used in the narthex and down the hallway on the outside wall, just one strip of tile. These are the tiles. Thank you. This is the accent tile that are just not in the sanctuary, but it will be in the narthex and down the hallways. This is the tile that will be under the pews and then be throughout the narthex, except for the accent tile, all the way down, expanded hallway, and then down to the door, second door, the back door, and to the children's hallway. And this is a non-slip tile. And then, let's get back to this. This is the seat, what's going to be on the seats, the seat and the back of the pew. This is the wood, the finish on the pews. And this is the carpet that will come down the center aisle and be on the ends of each aisle, or whatever we call that. So does that help? And the wood here will be taken out, and the tile will be brought over to where the chancel area begins, or to the steps. Yes, ma'am. Yes, everything, yes. This is just the color of the pews, which should match and blend with everything else in here. Yes, sir? They're going to be thrown away because they are breaking into pieces. They are nailed together, glued together. This is not a decision that was made lightly. There was a lot of discussion about that.
We do have some sample pews, some short ones that illustrated the type of pews, the waterfall ends that we're going with. We've got, I think there are 3 of those, and those will be. Church Interiors does not want those back, so you can use. Somebody wanted them, they can have them.
One other thing that they hadn't correctly mentioned, the ceiling will be totally straight. It will no longer be straight. It will be retaped, repainted, flat, so it will be a brand new ceiling. Smooth.
Thank you, Drew. Any other questions at all? Please, if you've got one, speak up now. Lee, could you speak to the numbers?
On the back page of your handout, you can see there the total project cost is $555,275. We have already deposited or sent them a check for $141, wasn't it, last week? Yeah, $141,000 last week for the beginning of the project. They had to have that in hand. It was overnighted to them, so they received it last Wednesday. Okay. All right, then if you look to the left there, the pew cost, $97,000. We have deposited with them $32,652 for the pews. So the Finance Committee had voted to give $200,000 out of a reserve fund toward this project, and we took the $141,000 out of that last week, so we still got $60,000 in that. So if you look at the renovations, the middle column, we have a balance of $343,135 that we need to raise with this group of people in here and the ones that will be here tomorrow night. That's what where the rubber meets the road. So Bonnie will be spearheading the cost. So we'll start handing out pledge cards now. Don't want to let you get out of here without something in your pocket. And any questions about the financing of this? The church has secured a line of credit from First Citizens Bank that will cover costs as we go through this project. If the project stays on schedule, we will be sending them the required funding every 2 weeks. So it's a pay-as-you-go project.
When we discuss the financing of this project, you'll see in the pledge card that
Raise your mic. Just raise it up now.
put up here, okay. When we discussed the pledge card, we decided that a 2-year pledge period would be appropriate. You do not have to pledge over 2 years. You can make a one-time gift. And we also give you the opportunity to purchase a pew. But I want to make sure you understand, we're not putting name plaques or little brass pieces on the pews because they come off and you can't keep up with them. But we will list the people that purchase a pew and it'll be in a list that's in the book of gifts and donations that have been made to the church. We're trying to get away from plaques and things like that because they get lost and it's not fair to the people that they're not recognized appropriately. So, a pew is $3,000. If you'd like to buy a pew, you don't get to choose your pew. All pews are equal. If you say you'd like to give $3,000 for a pew, you will be recognized for your gift, your donation for a pew, but you don't have to get, it's not the pew you sit in, it's not the pew, that somebody else used to sit in that you like where the pew is. All pews are equal. The short pews cost as much as the long pews. It's real. You don't get a discount, but that's why we're not putting names on there, because everybody will have the acknowledgement of giving a pew, but it will not be named. You can't go in and say, this is my pew. Everybody's pews, your pew will belong to everybody and vice versa. And then one other expense we have, they're going to enlarge the sound booth so that Joel will have video and audio up there together. And the cost of that is $25,000. And if anybody would like to underwrite the cost of the sound booth, you will not get your name put on that either, but you will be acknowledged in the book of gifts and donations. And you can choose if it's in memory of or honor of someone, just like for the pew. I'm just going to tell you, it's been a long road to get here, and this has not been done lightly, correct? Correct. We've talked, we've disagreed, we've done a lot of things that I'm glad we did in committee, but these decisions have been made with a sincere thought in mind for all of our church members. We haven't done this saying, well, this is what we want. We've thought about the members that are here because, I mean, a lot of you have been here longer than me, and the church is very important to me, so I know I can only imagine how you feel about it. So we just ask that you pray about this. It's happening. You know, that's the part of being Methodist. You don't get to vote whether we do it. You do get to vote whether you give or not. But there's just been a lot of time and effort put into this. We feel like this is what's best for our congregation and our church. And we're excited about seeing what it looks like when it's done. The narthex expansion has been discussed so many different ways, but if you look at these pictures and see how much more room there's going to be to stand after a service and talk and fellowship, I think you will feel like the cost is a justified cost for what the church will be gaining. Pray about it and turn in your pledge card, turn in your check, and we'll keep you updated on how much is pledged. Yes, ma'am.
If we don't want to commit to $3,000 or $25,000, if when we make our usual donations, can we just note it on the check for renovation project? Is
Yes.
that acceptable? Yeah. That?
Yes.
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 But y'all would like to know that somebody's going to give toward that. So
Yeah.
Right. We would like to know
Yeah.
that. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
When we started talking about leaving the city, you all asked to cover that cost of our property. You all asked for $1,300 for each constituent. And are you all setting an amount for this that you would like each of us individually to give?
I don't know if those numbers have been worked out yet. That would be up to Lee and the finance group. But that certainly could be an application. That would be applicable, absolutely. Yeah, we could do it that way. It worked well before. What was it like, 3 days? It wasn't even 3 weeks, and we had all the money, so it worked before. She wanted to know if, in fact, we could apply the money applications here as we did for the disaffiliation, where we took the number of votes and we divided the number of votes into the amount that we needed, and if you voted for the disaffiliation, then your obligation would be that amount. And if she's asking if we could do that the same way here, and I'm certainly saying it could be an application. I'm not saying we do it, that's up to Lee Gardner. Yes?
What about the money that we did not spend for the disaffiliation?
That money was transferred from the UMC separation account to the building fund. So.
About 70,000, and I'm going to just address this for you, Drew. I made the suggestion, and it was approved by the committee, that we not use that money for this renovation because there are expenses involved with moving for the renovation. There are other expenses that are coming up. Air conditioning units are going out. We've had to put a new roof on the church. We felt like we needed to leave that money alone and in that fund so it could continue to meet the daily needs that come up of the church, and then hopefully we'll have enough money raised for the renovations without using that.
I want to make one comment about the process of the renovation itself. Church Interiors builds us based upon or predicated upon when a phase of the renovation is completed. They will not get a check from St. Luke until myself and Drew Hamilton notify them that, yes, we're content with the work you've done in each phase. It might be painting, it might be scraping the ceiling. It's all done sequentially, as you might know. We can't put new pews in until we get a new floor in. So those will be incrementally done in sequence. But it doesn't matter. We won't write a check to Church Interiors until Drew Hamilton and myself say, yep, the work is good, we like it, we will pay you. If there are any questions about that? Anybody who would like to help with that visibility on that, you're welcome to do it.
Jeannie, let me answer your question. There was $43,000 in excess for the separation fund. That money was transferred to the building committee, to the building fund, and then $32,000 of that was spent for the deposit on the pews. But the primary reserve fund had $300,000 in it, and Finance Committee has voted to give $200,000 of that $300,000 to this project. That still leaves us $100,000 reserve fund. Any other questions?
Thank you so much for your time today. We're going to be in a new sanctuary before too much longer. Thank you.